On the line right now from the Washington Post is Jennifer Rubin, a conservative columnist over there, and she's been watching all of the events going on here at CPAC. You know, yesterday, Jennifer, we started with some of the more conservative young guns, the young Turks out there, people like Rand Paul and Marco Rubio, giving very fiery and very conservative speeches. Today, we're going to hear from Mitt Romney. And I think this sort of demonstrates that there are sort of two wings to the party right now, and the Republican Party is still trying to find exactly what it is, what its identity is at the moment. What do you think?
Well, I think there are lots of splits along lots of different lines. There is that divide, sort of the old generation, if you will, that came to political maturity under the Reagan and the Bush years. There's a foreign policy divide between Rand Paul and Marco Rubio. There is a divide, I think, on social issues. I was part of a panel early evening yesterday on tolerance and gay rights. There's a divide there. So I think there are lots of things going on in the party. And although the mainstream media, I think, would like to characterize every difference as a civil war or something bad, I think it's very healthy. I think this is what parties do to regenerate themselves. They have civil debate. They talk it out. They make arguments to one another. And I think the party, in the end, comes out stronger for having had these discussions.
And I agree with you. I think the more discussion you have about these kind of issues, the better. But ultimately, you have to sort of decide what you are. As this debate continues, what do you think the Republican Party is going to emerge to become?
Well, I think it is going to come to terms to some degree with gay marriage and gay rights. We had the big news late yesterday that Rob Portman broke the news that his son was gay and that he's changed his mind on gay marriage. So I think the party is slowly moving, at least on that issue, towards a more libertarian view. That's Rand Paul's view. Let the states decide, for example. I think on foreign policy, they're going to come up, I think, with some kind of new, perhaps post-Bush foreign policy that, yes, America remains strong in the world. Yes, we have a first-class military, but that we're a little bit more selective and a little bit more careful in what we do and how we flex our muscles. So I think these are all works in progress. I think you also see it in terms of subject matter. Republicans used to run away when the subject matter of education or health care came up, and now you have people like Marco Rubio who are running straight at these issues, coming up with conservative solutions. So I think there's lots of these things going on, and we're going to see how the Republican Party comes out on the other end. The good news is that there's no need for a grand consensus right now. We're going to have a midterm election in a couple of years. That'll make some decisions, and then we'll have a presidential race again in 2016. And as you know, a lot of these things kind of get hashed out in a presidential election. You go through a primary process, one guy wins, and he kind of pulls the various threads of the party together, and the party comes out looking slightly different in each presidential election year. I think it's a lot more fluid than people give the Republican Party credit for. These things morph in different and unexpected ways, and I think we're going to see that again over the next 4 years.
Jennifer Rubin, columnist from the Washington Post, is our guest, and we're engaged in this conversation that is really going on within the party and within the conservative movement about this evolution and discussion of various ideas, and I'd love to point out again the fact that Mitt Romney is going to be speaking today, and I think it's a good moment to sort of look back at the Romney campaign and wonder aloud, what lessons could we have learned here, not just about the ground game and some of the political logistics, but in a more ideological way. Mitt Romney, I think it's fair to say, evolved into a conservative ultimately. And so he was never really comfortable in that skin, I think, objectively speaking, in speaking about the true conservative values. It wasn't part of his DNA. Is that a good lesson to learn from the Romney campaign?
I think it's one of many lessons. I think another lesson to learn is that he never explained to ordinary voters why they should support conservative policies. I think in their own way, each and every one of the speakers that I've heard at CPAC, whether it was Rand Paul or Marco Rubio, Tim Scott yesterday, are striving to do that, to explain what it is in conservatism, what it is in the protection and expansion of liberty that is going to do for the average person. Like it or not, that's how most Americans now, I think, look at the government. What are you going to do for me? Or how is my life going to be better because of what you are doing in government? And I think the effort to connect the principles of conservatism with policy outcomes that are helpful and are desirable for the average American is what is going on and what Mitt Romney really did not do well.
You know, Jennifer Rubin, you hear a lot of, I talked to a lot of them here at CPAC, and they feel like Mitt Romney was sort of thrust upon them by the establishment. Now, you're pretty much the spokesperson for the Republican establishment, Jennifer Rubin. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
My goodness, I don't think they want me. I don't want them.
Oh, you were just reprinting their press releases there on the Post. We saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's teasing you, Jennifer.
Yeah, you know, I think these people delude themselves. The man was voted by millions of Republicans. I think when people say that, it's really kind of a defensive sign of real weakness, that they couldn't get the guy that they wanted, therefore whoever won somehow got there illegitimately. That's a very liberal kind of leftist.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You know, the guy won, for better or worse, and I would turn around and say, we had a really rotten field.
Well, you've hit upon something very important, and that's something that has to be said here. We're at CPAC. The people who are at CPAC are the people who feel most passionately about these issues, these conservative issues. But a lot of people who consider themselves Republicans don't feel that passionately. Still, they vote in large numbers.
Yeah, and, you know, I think that's part of the trick of any political party is how do you stay true to your ideological
core,
identity
right,
and your core, but make that a governing national movement. This is not a debating society, it's a political party.
Yeah.
In order to be a political party, you have to have some broader appeal.
Right.
And I think that's why people are gravitating to folks like Marco Rubio and
Hey,
Rand
Jennifer,
Paul.
we got to leave it right there. We're out of time. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we'll check in with you again sometime
Yeah, don't
soon.
be a stranger, Jennifer.
We love having you on.
My pleasure.